Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And today we're delving into the world of food, but not just food, French food. And we are here with Andrew Pryor. How are you, Andrew?
Bonjour, I am well, merci beaucoup. And how are you? Oh,
Ah, très bien, merci. And that's all the French you're going to get out of
ah.
me. No,
Well, I try.
I love what you do. You've created this, I would just call it a multimedia empire, but but in its
Oh,
own modest way, but with Andrew Pryor fabulously. And you've got like such a great focus on the world of French food, which seems to be something you love.
I do. I love French food, but as a true Australian, actually, I'm sitting in the French countryside cooking a lamb roast as we speak, Greek style. So, look, I do love French food, but I'm willing to go all over the world, which has always been an advantage throughout all my life. But as you can see, I've got my Zoom. Yeah, it's actually my Zoom background in the. I chose the lamb roast option.
I don't know how
Zoom
you
will
get it
come
to
out with
move the
that
way you
now.
do, but you're brilliant.
Thank you. No, no, look, I love French food. I think
Yeah.
that it is, I love everything about it. I love the seasonality of it. I love modern French food and its techniques. Everything about French food, I absolutely love.
But I always tell them you can't be all things to all people. You can't just go out there and you've got to really pick where what you want to be and run with it. And that's what I feel like you've done, which is that you really focused on the world of food. You photograph and video record it brilliantly, and
Oh, merci beaucoup.
I think and then the second piece is that you've understood and really leveraged the multimedia aspect, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. So you're not just on one or the other. You seem to be pretty evenly spread out amongst all of them.
Yes, and I'm a one man band at the moment. So that means that sometimes I'm doing better on one than I am on the other, but then I get caught up. But yeah, look, I think it's hard in this world. You've got to try to be on all the platforms and all the mediums. But I try to just make sure that I research a lot and look into what's best for me and go with that. And I try to focus on the content and not on the amount of subscribers that I have or the amount of followers that I have. I really want engagement. And I think that comes from having good content and actually spending time with those people. I think the benefit for me was that, you might get into this a little bit later, but the benefit for me was always that I focused more on my business than I did on me. This is probably a first since the pandemic that I'm focusing more on me. But when I first started on all of this food journey, so to speak, I was focused on the business side of things.
Oh, it's you're speaking my language, and so that's why you treat social media as if there's a person on the other side. And like you said, when you're engaged and so forth, it's not all about you. And it's just, I think that's very human. And so I think that's why we're connected.
Absolutely. I mean, where else can you do things like, talk on Zoom whilst making chili peach jam? I mean,
Ah.
it can only be on Zoom and social media. But I have to make sure I get that on the Instagram.
and your kitchen is impeccable. So yeah, this is.
Oh, no, it's not. No, don't. We
Then you're
won't. We
hiding.
won't get too close. Nobody zoom in. Please don't. No. Yeah, but
Yeah, but what was your inspiration and so forth, and kind of how you got started with all this?
well, I always loved food. I think we came to France. Now husband, my husband and I, as a lovely royal would say. Um, we came to France a few times, and then decided that we really wanted to live here.
Yeah.
And when we were putting those plans in motion, I happened to go on a reality TV show called MasterChef,
Yeah.
and ended up being the only person medically retired from MasterChef in the world. And I hurt my knees, and that led me to set up a walking tours business. And everything that I seemed to do just seemed to relate to French food. I was meeting French people on the sweets tour that I set up. The fabulous macaron lady
Yeah.
that was making these most amazing macarons, some of the best macarons I've ever had in my life. She's now closed, unfortunately, but she truly was amazing. And And then I ended up doing a French food tour in Melbourne, which was an all-day bus tour. And they were just getting more and more popular. And people were saying, oh, we would so love you to take us to France. And so then I had an overseas France tour. And when we came over for that, that was when we decided that we really just wanted to live here. And I really wanted to focus on French food. So we came over with the goal of doing more tours here, and that eventually one day I would do cooking classes here, have a cookbook, and do all of that. So that's sort of what led me into YouTube, because before then I was really just doing a bit of Instagram, and that was it. I was more focused on the business, putting a lot of effort into Facebook at the time, like so many of us were. And then we jumped over here to France, and I just decided that the best way and the easiest way to create, to get a new audience was through YouTube. And so I started doing videos on Paris and showing people around then. And then I was doing, that led to itinerary work, which was great. And it really led to an American audience, was what I really wanted. Because I knew that YouTube was so popular in America as opposed to other places, Australia, etc. And so, I just focused on that. And then we decided one day, towards the end of 2019, towards the end of that we would, if we're going to go to the countryside in France, we need to do it soon. And so we sold up in Paris and bought a place here in the French countryside and moved in the first day of confinement.
Wow.
From the pandemic. So that sort of changed things again. And so, I went on MasterChef thinking, oh, I'm going to win this and I'm going to be a worldwide sensation. I'm the Australian Julia Childs. I was going to be the first MasterChef Australia contestant to have a number one selling cookbook in New York Times bestseller list. I had all of these high hopes, and of course I went and hurt my ankle, hurt my knees, and then we were going to go and move to the French countryside and be the Australian Julia Child in the countryside, and have people come into our home and cook with us, and it would going to be really fabulous. And what happens? There's a global, worldwide, international pandemic that's affecting the whole world. Great, and no one's traveling. So, but on a bright note, I thought, well, I could do cooking videos. And so that's when I started cooking videos. And just recently, I've found a love for podcasts and podcasting. And as you can see, I've got a really perfect face for radio. So I started doing Fabulously Delicious, which is my podcast all about French food. And the people that make it, cook it, love it, eat it, and write about it, photograph it. And it's going really, really well. I've had fabulous guests, and people seem to like it. So that's really good.
So you evolved. You've evolved from one direction you were thinking, and then pandemic. I think many of us are going to look back and realize that the pandemic has adjusted things. Some not as good, but some actually will probably be for the better for our lives in the future. And who knows, this whole multimedia setup, you have a podcast, video, and then combined with your walking tours, which I personally, my husband and I, whenever we travel, we almost always work in a food tour because we love them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whenever you go to a city, the first thing you should do is do a food tour, because the Queenie's Food Tours, which is the business that I had in Melbourne, it's now closed. It ran for 4 years. When at the peak, which was actually when I closed the business, it was the number 9 out of 385 activities in Melbourne on TripAdvisor. We had 5 stars. But unfortunately, it was just too hard to manage that from overseas in France. So I hadn't sort of forward planned that. That was my one big mistake. If I'd done some forward planning, I would have got a partner in or someone in at the time. But we learn our lessons from that, and that's not a problem. But food tours are a way of you finding the best places to go to eat on a tour. You know, the food tour guide, if they're a good guide, are going to be able to recommend you restaurants, not just what they show you on a tour. And also food, when people are around food, they talk. And so you get to meet people. So when you do a food tour in the beginning, you really are meeting like-minded kind of people that are that interested in food that they're going to do a tour on, are probably, you know, going to be able to tell you other fabulous things that they're doing. And, you know, it's like a connection type thing, just the same as when you're at a dinner table, you talk to people. And so that's what's great about a food tour. So I think that's, I've never had a bad food tour. Then I always do a lot of research first. So that's possibly why, but then that's the same with restaurants, isn't it? If you really research into one, you'll find great ones. So, but yeah, I think that a food tour is a really important thing to do. And what I love now even more, and just because, you know, I'm a little bit biased, but I love doing, you know, like we had in 2019, September 2019, I had a 7-night tour. Okay. And everything was planned by me. I was for want of taking the a saying that I love from a show I love. I sang the theme song, I wrote the theme song, and I played the theme song. So everything in the tour was all me. We stayed in amazing accommodation down in the Côte d'Azur, and everything was everyone's lunches, dinners was all planned out for them, and all the activities was planned and done, all done for them. And it was a small group tour, only 6 people. Yeah. And everybody said it was the best tour they've ever done, and best holiday they've ever had. And I think that is what I love to do now. I love the idea of not just hosting fabulous tours like that, but also going on them. And I think, you know, maybe, hopefully, boutique type tours around food will be the things people will go on in the future, you know. And, you know, I think boutique tours, you know, you don't have a lot of people, so it's a lot safer. You know, and I think that will be in people's minds. And, you know, maybe for the cost of what you can go on a cruise and be with, what is it, like on cruise ships now, 6,000, 10,000 people. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do, great. But why not go on a 6-person tour for that cost and have an amazing experience? We went to the world's #1 restaurant on my tour, Mirazu, down in Menton, and it was just amazing. You know,
I think a lot of everything you've described and the success you're going to have you've had now and you're going to have moving forward, it's your passion. It really shows that you truly love this.
Yeah, my motto in life is whatever you do, you should do it fabulously.
I love this. But no, this is wonderful. I'm really so glad you were able to take a few moments of your time and just kind of share some of your story with us. And I'm going to make sure that when we post this, there's going to be links to everything, all your YouTube and podcasts and so forth. And but mostly also, I look forward to hopefully being able to connect in the real world someday soon.
Well, let's hope you can come here and have some lovely goat cheese and some wine. And look, we'll even throw a shrimp on the barbie for you. That's an Australian saying.
Now that's fusion.
Or, yes, as we say here in France, we will, I do not know the word for throw, so I cannot say this, but maybe we will throw the crevette on the fry pan. This is the way to go.
You're insane. Oh, I love it. Thanks so much again, and look forward to seeing you soon.
No, thank you. And next time I'll dress up for you.
You got it. Take care now.
Yeah.